You have big dreams of losing weight and creating a healthy, joyful life. But you find yourself craving sugar, caught up in what the scale says, and diet hopping. Dieting is the old way of losing weight. And the good news is I'm going to give you a new way of eating so you can ditch diets for good and build a healthy relationship with real food. My name is Megan Olson, certified nutrition practitioner, creator of Skinny Fitalicious, and your host of the Dish on Diets show. Hello, friends. Today we're talking about maintaining weight loss, because what's the point of losing weight if you can't keep it off? Everyone knows how to lose weight, but no one knows how to maintain weight loss. Most women just focus on losing weight and how to get unfat as quickly as possible. I know that was my mindset when I was 215 pounds. But what most women don't realize is that they actually have two problems: a weight loss problem and a weight maintenance problem, because how you're living your normal life is causing that weight gain. So if you say you want to lose weight, is your goal to keep the weight off forever, or to lose weight and regain it? I mean, I don't know any woman who would say, yeah, I want to lose weight and regain it. But something a lot of women do not understand is that you cannot go on a weight loss journey and then go back to normal. Ever. You can never go back to normal. To your normal lifestyle that caused the weight gain. You can't go back. I believe a lot of women over 35 have no plan for how to maintain weight loss. I've worked with many one-on-one clients over the last 11 years who did fad diets. You know, they did some fad diet, lost some weight, but then they started regaining weight after they stopped the fad diet. You can't hope you will maintain weight loss. And unfortunately, I do think most women, their plan is relying on hope. Well, I hope I can keep it off. That's not a plan. You have to actually know what needs adjusting in your normal day-to-day life that caused the weight gain in the first place. If you don't figure that out while you're on your weight loss journey, you just end up in this cycle of regaining the weight. So a lot of women, after losing weight, gradually they go back to their normal. Not at first, but gradually they just kind of start going back to their normal lifestyle. They default back. Going back to normal guarantees you will regain the weight within 2 to 3 years. There are studies that show this. I actually talk about this in my free weight loss class, the 5 steps to lasting weight loss, why weight loss feels harder after 35, and what to do now. The link to that class is in the show notes for you, and you can also find it on my website. So if you're interested, that's how you go find that. But I used to be over 200 pounds myself. And the reason I have been able to sustain an 80-pound weight loss for the last 17 years is because I never went back. I built habits and skills over a 2-year time period. And I ate in a calorie deficit while building skills around cooking, balancing my meals, tracking my food, learning about food, walking daily, learning how to strength train and exercise, and how to fit all those things into my busy schedule. I traveled every week as a consultant. I was working insane hours plus traveling every single week. So I had to figure out how to eat out and stay in a calorie deficit, how to eat out and track my food, how to eat out and get steps, how to be traveling and get steps and exercise. I had to figure out how to do that while I was traveling and working, and I had to figure out how to do that when I was at home, and how to plan for the days that I was at home, and how to plan differently for the days that I traveled versus when I was at home. It was 2 years of building skills that I did not have about nutrition and exercise, and figuring out how to apply those skills into my busy life. And at the end of the 2 years, guess what? I didn't stop. I didn't stop walking. I didn't stop exercising. I didn't stop strength training. I didn't stop paying attention to protein. I didn't stop eating fruits and vegetables. I didn't stop tracking my food even. In fact, I tracked my food for years after losing 80 pounds. You know why? Because I didn't want to gain all that 80 pounds back. And guess what would have happened if I had stopped all those things? I would have gained all those 80 pounds back. The only thing I stopped doing was eating in a calorie deficit. I still tracked my food for years after I lost 80 pounds. I still walked daily. I still followed my weekly exercise routine. I had a routine. I still meal prepped. I still paid attention to protein and fiber and fruits and vegetables. I still paid attention to how many fun foods am I eating. Do you know why I didn't stop? Because my new habits made me feel so good. And I was doing the habits for reasons that had nothing to do with weight loss and managing my weight. When I started my weight loss journey, the only thing I cared about was feeling at peace with food and feeling better about myself. Those were my motivations, not the scale, not the size of my body, not how quick my body could change. Sure, losing the weight made me feel better and more confident, but really the true confidence I gained was going through all of that 2-year process of learning and building skills. All of that gave me internal confidence I never ever had. I learned to show up for myself. I learned to stop putting others first. I learned I was important and that I could support myself and that I was the best friend I could ever count on. I didn't have any of that before losing 80 pounds. Losing 80 pounds wasn't the real transformation, and it really would have been totally meaningless to me without the internal transformation that I went through and the confidence I gained in myself and building skills and learning how to navigate real life while building those new skills and transforming into somebody who was healthier and fitter. And I believe this is what so many women miss. They don't allow themselves to go through the transformation process, the learning, the building skills. They just go on a fad diet because, yeah, I could do that for 6 months, temporary. I can do that, right? It doesn't require change. It doesn't really require you looking at your patterns and your lifestyle and how you handle your emotions and how you cope with real life. It doesn't require any of that. You can do it for 6 months and then you look at the scale and the scale goes down and you do all these unhealthy things to drive that scale number down. But you're not changing when you do that. Nothing about you is changing. You're just learning how to diet better. Sure, you can go on Optavia and eat their cardboard food, but you're not changing. Sure, you can restrict your eating window and fast, but you're not changing. Sure, you can cut out an entire group of food like carbs, but you're not changing. Sure, you can follow a meal plan, but again, you're not changing. How does following a meal plan teach you how to eat out at a restaurant? How does following a meal plan teach you how to eat when you go on vacation like a normal person? How does following a meal plan teach you to eat the foods you enjoy and balance them according to your calorie needs? It doesn't. It doesn't teach you anything but to be a rule follower of a diet. A lot of women, I think, mentally, they just want it to be easy and simple. And I get it, because that's where I was at too when I was 215 pounds. And so a lot of women are like, well, I just want it to be easy. I just want it to be simpler. They don't want to have to think. They don't want to have to be intentional about their choices and figure things out. So that's where they fall victims to diets like Optavia, fasting, cutting carbs, keto, following some random meal plan that somebody gives them. So they don't have to think. They don't have to learn. They don't have to be intentional. But the problem is you're not actually changing. And you can't maintain weight loss if you're not actually changing. And the real problem is there's no skills. You're not building the skills. You're not going through the learning process so that you can keep weight off for life. Remember, you don't just have a weight loss problem. You've got a weight maintenance problem when you're not on a diet, when you're just living your normal life. So you're just hoping when you come off of a fad diet, you can keep it off. But you don't keep it off. How many times do you think you have to keep proving to yourself that you can't keep it off doing fad diets? How many times do you think you have to prove it to yourself that you can't keep it off being a strict clean eater? How many times do you have to prove it to yourself that you can't keep it off being aggressive, eating too little, waist deep in a calorie deficit? You're just getting better at dieting and restricting and having the willpower to say no to foods when you do these things. And these things will never result in maintaining weight loss long term. Remember, it's a weight loss problem and a weight maintenance problem. Most women have a problem maintaining weight loss because they never build the skills around nutrition, exercise, and mindset necessary for maintaining weight loss long term. Without the skills, you don't know how to eat like a normal person. You don't know how to go on vacation without being, bad and going off the rails and then feeling guilty when you come home. You don't know how to go to a restaurant, order what satisfies you without feeling like you did something wrong. You don't know how to eat cookies in the break room at work without feeling like you ruined your weight and you have to shame yourself into going on some strict diet and starting over again on Monday. It's 2026 and it's kind of crazy to me that women still think to lose weight that following a fad diet makes sense. A fad diet that teaches you no nutrition and exercise skills, like a diet that hands you a meal plan and tells you just eat protein and a vegetable, or eat from this list of foods that says what you can and cannot eat, therefore assigning this morality to food, good and bad foods. I see this all the time with my own one-on-one clients. Women who've been trying to lose weight on and off for 10, 20, 30 or more years, and they still haven't quite realized that fad diets will never be maintainable. You think you need strictness to lose weight, and I get it because I used to mentally be there too, but you can't sustain strictness. And when you try to do that, you very quickly fall off and then mentally spiral and think you failed. But the approach is what's flawed. You're not what's flawed. And you're not actually learning anytime you try to do that stuff. Strictness is not how any of this is done. No one who's healthy, leaner, fitter, and goes to the gym all the time is maintaining a level of strictness. If they are not healthy, okay? It's about finding the right balance that works for you. And the hardest thing for most women is recognizing that there is no diet plan out there that's going to get you long-term sustainable results. That's maintainable. You have to build it. It's not out there. It's not out in the universe. Nobody's hiding it from you. You build it. You build your way of eating. You build your structure and routine. You don't go find it. There are guidelines around nutrition and exercise that everyone should be aiming for, and it's up to you to figure out how to apply those guidelines to your life. That's how you make it your lifestyle. That's how you actually change. And this is what I help my one-on-one clients with, because here's the truth. If you were to wake up tomorrow and have the body of your dreams, you wouldn't be able to maintain it because you wouldn't have the skills to know how. And that is the hardest part about body transformation. It's not knowing the what to do. Most of you know you need to eat protein and fiber. Most of you know you should move more and go for more walks, and that adding in strength training would be really good for you. Most of you know that a calorie deficit is required to lose weight, right? So the what is not the issue, but women continue to follow these fad diets and lose weight only to regain it back or to not ever lose weight at all. And that's what we must recognize. And that is the most difficult part of this, I think, is not the what to do. You know what to do, but it's understanding, how do I apply that to me in a way that works for me? Because everybody's different, right? If what you're doing isn't livable for the rest of your life, you're not going to be able to sustain it. And if you can't sustain it, I mean, what's the point of doing it? This is what I said at the beginning of the podcast. Like, what's the point of losing weight and going through all of that strictness and paying attention and being intentional and doing all those things? What is the point if you only regain it? So if you can't do it for a decade, don't do it for a day. So why do we keep going back to thinking that food elimination and food group elimination and macronutrient elimination and time-restricted eating and demonizing foods is the way that we, are supposed to somehow maintain weight loss, when we've got so many studies that show 95% of people who try to do fad diets, even if they lose weight, they regain all their weight within a 2 to 3 year time span. Like, imagine buying a house and not thinking about the next 5 or 10 years. That'd be kind of silly, right? We need to think about the next 5 to 10 years, the rest of our lives, when we're trying to lose weight, just like when we're buying a house. Weight maintenance should be the goal. Building skills around nutrition, exercise, and mindset should be the goal to support losing weight and maintaining weight loss. You know, I think one of the hardest things is having the restraint to avoid the next shiny object, the next thing you see everybody talking about on social media, right? And start looking deeper into like your mindset, your behaviors, your value systems. What do you want to be able to do for the rest of your life? What kind of life do you want to have? And what do you need to add to your life to improve your quality of life? If you're the type of person who believes everything I just said is completely unrelated, then this is the exact reason you are stuck in this cycle of fad dieting, because the things I just mentioned are dependent on you losing weight. And look, it's your life. So if you want to eat cardboard Optavia meals for the rest of your life, or you never want to enjoy carbs again, or you want to be confined to a strict eating window, that's totally your choice. But you and I both know you're not going to do that. You don't want to be a prisoner to Optavia's food. You don't want to be a prisoner to eating within a specific time window. You don't want to be a prisoner to never eating a carb or ice cream again. You don't want to be a prisoner to demonizing foods and playing the mental gymnastics of, why did I eat that cookie at work today? I mean, you don't want that, right? I think if you're really honest with yourself, you realize that's not what you actually want. So understand, if your goal is maintaining weight loss, you can never go back to normal. So if you're okay with never eating carbs, fearing foods, and always trying to be strict around certain foods, then that will be the battle the rest of your life. But you can never go back to how you were eating and living before losing weight. Otherwise, the weight will come back. What you are signing up for is forever. 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 Because if you can't do it forever, the weight will come back. And this is also really important when you're starting your weight loss journey. If I can't do this for the next, 10 years, I probably shouldn't be doing this, right? This is why a lot of people try to change everything at once. No, we change one habit at a time, not everything at a time. And listen, my intent here isn't to be a Debbie Downer. I know it kind of sounds like it, but it's really to be the person of reason who tells you the truth. Weight loss is not easy. Changing your habits is not easy. Looking at your pattern and your coping mechanisms is not easy. Building new skills, learning a lot of new things, it's not easy. But listen, it will be so worth it. And if you've got 10, 20, 30 years struggling with those things, it will definitely be worth it to spend a year or two of your time focusing on those things. And that's a small amount of time compared to 10, 20, 30 years of your life. You're building new skills and learning a lot of new things that are going to benefit you, benefit your spouse, your children, your grandchildren, other people in your life that are around you. It's going to benefit and wear off on other people. And I see that all the time with my clients. You're learning how to create a lifestyle that's livable for you, where you make progress towards your goals, but also cook for your family and enjoy eating with your family, where you can go out to eat and not have guilt around food or anxiety around the types of foods that you choose, where you learn how to balance exercise and nutrition with your time constraints without sacrificing everything you enjoy, and living in a balanced way. Going through a weight loss transformation really makes you feel powerful and confident, learning how to show up for yourself, learning healthier coping mechanisms, learning to take care of yourself, learning to set boundaries with people, learning to no longer fear a cookie or the bread basket. All that stuff makes you feel more confident than any number you will ever achieve on the scale. The scale is just a byproduct of going through the transformation. And I see this all the time with my one-on-one clients. They tell me how they now hear like their friends and family talking crazy about food, and they realize, oh my God, that was once me. They didn't realize how crazy they were with food, fearing a cookie, fearing ice cream, spiraling because they ate pizza or had a bad day, or mentally spiraling because they ate the wrong foods or not the healthiest thing. The freedom from the mental food noise is the transformation for many of them, because you're still stuck in that fad dieting. You don't realize it often. You think that's what it takes to lose weight, and that's why you're struggling. And this is what nutritionists like me are trained to help people with. It's literally our job. I know there's a lot of people who don't have a degree in nutrition like I do, and that's one of my most frustrating things these days. Is there's a lot of influencers on social media saying a lot of incorrect things. There's even a lot of medical people who should not be talking about nutrition at all. It's totally outside their scope of practice. And they're sharing a lot of things that are like feeding into diet culture and fad dieting and people doing unhealthy behaviors with exercise and food. Nutritionists like me are absolutely trained to help people with lifestyle and habit change. It's literally our job. It's what we're trained in. And so I'm always surprised when women are hesitant to work with a nutritionist. I mean, if you have a toothache, you go to the dentist. If your car breaks down, you go to a mechanic. If you have a leak in your house, you call a plumber. But you got a food and weight problem, instead of going straight to a nutritionist, you go on a fad diet. That's like putting duct tape on a leaky faucet. At some point, the duct tape is not going to hold any longer, and you will either have to apply more duct tape or you're going to have to call a plumber. So if you want to address the leak, you have to get to the right expert. And if you want to maintain weight loss forever, you also have to realize that whatever you do has to be sustainable, because you can't go back. You cannot stop. Otherwise, weight comes back. That means taking the time to build skills and learning the things that will help you do it. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, I don't want to do that. That sounds really hard. The thing is it's not hard when you have somebody who is helping you break that down in a reasonable way. That's the difference. When you're trying to do it on your own, when you're spinning your wheels, you're trying to change everything at once, you're striving for perfection and strictness, that's what makes it really, really hard. It's a lot easier when you have somebody holding your hand. And that's why I said getting the right expert to help you is going to really make it be so much easier, right? Because you are learning new things. You do have to go through a learning process. And a lot of people do try to do this stuff on their own. And I fear that they're just kind of still stuck because they refuse to get themselves the help. I mean, I don't understand that logically, because like if you had a cavity, you'd go to a dentist. So why do we refuse to go to a nutritionist? I'm not an influencer. I actually have a degree in nutrition. But the point is, there is no maintaining weight loss without building the right nutrition and exercise skills. There's no like, you're going to maintain your weight the rest of your life. If you do Optavia and drop 50 pounds in 3 months, there's no maintenance plan for that. You are guaranteed to gain weight back with something like that. And that's what a lot of people do. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people are like, I don't know why I couldn't maintain it. It's like, it's not because you're a moral failure. It's because these kind of programs are not designed to work long-term and be maintainable. They're not sustainable, right? And the other thing is, maintenance is not a free-for-all. You can't stop doing the habits. You can't stop going to the gym, stop lifting weights. You can't stop paying attention to steps. You can't stop getting steps. You can't stop tracking your food, at least for a while, until you learn where you are actually maintaining weight loss. You can't stop paying attention to protein and fiber. You can't stop. That's the point. You can't stop. You can't go back to the life that caused the weight gain. What's going to happen if you go back is that you gain the weight back gradually over time. And a lot of women, they get to maintenance and they do just stop paying attention. They stop doing their nutrition and exercise habits, even when they do sustainable things. That's why with a lot of my clients, I really emphasize to them like, hey, we need to actually practice maintenance, because if we don't practice maintenance, you know, it's just going to be like you go back, right? So we have to practice maintenance. That's something I work on with my clients, because a lot of people go back to their old lifestyle that caused the weight gain. And this is something that you have to mentally accept. And I know that acceptance is probably the hardest part about all of this. This means that you have to take smaller changes towards your goal and have a more reasonable expectation of how fast you will see change. That is so critical, as having a reasonable expectation. This weight loss journey, listen carefully, this weight loss journey should take you 1 to 2 years, maybe more, depending on your history with food, dieting, and the demands in your life. But give yourself at least 1 to 2 years minimum to build the skills and to learn everything and put everything in place. And I promise you, it's going to be so worth it. The habits will stay with you forever. That's why building the habits is so important, not just going on some short-term fad diet only to regain it. Now is the time for you to get brutally honest with yourself. Is what you're doing right now what you can do for the rest of your life? Be honest. I see many women in my consultations who tell me these strict plans they're following or strict plans they've done, and I can tell they feel totally defeated because they can't be strict. They're like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Why can't I just be this strict? Right. Because those strict fad diets are literally meant to be temporary. They can't be sustained, which is why a lot of women do fad diets and do regain their weight, because they're not meant to be permanent. And the sooner you realize the diet industry is just marketing temporary fad diets that are not meant to work long term, the sooner you're going to stop falling victim to them. How would it feel to lose weight and regain it again? Truly, what would that feel like? Now ask yourself, what would it feel like to reach your goal and to never have to regain weight again? What would it feel like to go on vacation with your family and feel relaxed with food? Not fear the scale when you get home. What would it feel like to see other women stressing about fruit, bread, ice cream cooks, carbs, and having the confidence to know you can eat those foods guilt-free and not worry about your weight? How would it feel to look forward to your habits and feel good about doing them and good about yourself? To actually feel confident and motivated to move your body and exercise? How would all those things feel? Building the skills and the habits gives you all of that and so much more. And as somebody who used to be 215 pounds, I am proof of that. The thought of exercise when I was over 200 pounds sounded dreadful to me. It was the last thing I ever wanted to be doing, which is why walking was the least barrier of entry to get me started. And now 17 years later, I absolutely love exercising. I don't have to force myself to do it. Yeah, I have some days where I'm not absolutely excited and motivated and I'm tired, but overall, I know it makes me feel better. It makes me feel more confident and gives me a lot more energy. And so I don't have to force myself to do it. 17 years later, still doing it, still doing all of these things. You can change. You just need the right support and the right expert to help you get there. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people are missing. They're still trying to do kind of the fad diet way, not realizing that that won't ever have a chance of being sustainable beyond the 2 to 3 years. All right, ladies, I hope this was helpful to you today. If you feel stuck and defeated by strict diets like so many of my one-on-one clients do, I do offer free consultations to help you understand what might be keeping you stuck and how you can achieve lasting weight loss that works for you. You can find the link to my consultations and my calendar in the show notes to schedule that if you want to, and I'll talk to you soon. Hey, if you enjoyed this podcast, you have to come check out my free weight loss class. It's the 5 steps to lasting weight loss, how hormones impact weight loss, and the truth about lasting weight loss without relying on willpower, workouts, or deprivation. Click the link in the show notes to watch that free class today. And if you are a woman over 35 with 20 to 50 or more pounds to lose, schedule a free weight loss breakthrough session with me after you watch that class. And let's talk about your 20 to 50 or more pound weight loss plan.